Welcome to Slash Bash, where today I am bringing you another malicious compliance Reddit video. In our first story, the bank wants to play stupid games? Well, let's play stupid games. Let's jump right in. So I live and work in South Korea, but I work for a US company. As I work for an American company and I'm one of the few employees in my company that is American, my company doesn't issue me this letter that basically confirms I'm employed in South Korea. Because of this, I have restrictions on my Korean bank account. I can only withdraw 250,000 won per day from an ATM, about $216, and if I go in person to a teller, I can only withdraw 1,000,000 won a day, which is about $870. I also can't have a debit or credit card. All of this normally doesn't present a problem for me. I get a bank book, which is kinda like an electronic checkbook that's a physical thing you carry. For your information, I use my American bank for most of my day-to-day spending. But it did once pose a real problem for me. I signed a lease for a new apartment and the deposit was 10 million won, about $8,700. Yes, this is normal for Korea. So I transferred the money from my American bank to my Korean bank, and I went to the bank in person to transfer the money to my landlord. I get there and the teller says I can only transfer 1,000,000 won per day. My first idea was to ask my landlord if she'd be cool with me transferring her 1,000,000 won a day for 10 days, but she doesn't like that idea. So I'm sitting there arguing and the bank manager comes out. He's a nice enough man and speaks good English. He says because of my type of account, there is no way I can transfer more than 1,000,000 won per day. I need this money, so I'm thinking, and the light bulb goes off in my head. If I close my account, do I get my money? Yes, we would give you the cash. And if I close my account, can I open a new one? Of course. Is there a waiting period after closing my account to open a new one? No? Fantastic. Please close my account. Sure, I will need your bank book. I hand them my bank book and they destroy it. I then sign some papers to close the account. Once the bank manager has closed the account, he gives me all the money from the account to me in an envelope. Anything else I can help you with today? I smile, pull out my passport. Yes, I'd like to open a new bank account. The bank manager looks at me and it dawns on him what I just did. He laughs, shakes his head, and goes, "Sure, not a problem." I opened a new account, deposited 10,000 won, and left with my deposit in my pocket. Story number 2, taking a break when the boss says so. Not sure if this counts, but here goes. A few years ago, I was working in a small bar in a mall. I hadn't been there that long, but I knew the place well enough after a couple of weeks. Me and a girl who had also recently started working there had made a pretty good team. We worked 8-hour shifts together almost every day and had a nice flow going on. The manager had been looking for an assistant manager for a while and had decided to give the job to one of the waitresses who had been there a while. This is when everything started going wrong. The waitress turned assistant manager decided that she was going to be telling everyone what to do and when to do it and how to do it. Now, the girl that I worked every day with and I had a good understanding of the day-to-day traffic coming into the bar. We knew when it was going to be quiet and when it wasn't, so we made sure to take our breaks during the quiet times. We never took our breaks dead in the middle of our shift as we were supposed to. We just take them at the best time, knowing that we couldn't take them later and we would not be leaving the other person swamped. So one day she'd go for a half-hour break first and then I would go. The next day I would go first and then she would go. The new assistant manager decided that wasn't right and that we shouldn't be doing that and that we should be taking our breaks in the middle of the shift together. We both tried explaining to her that both of us taking a break at the same time was dumb and that it was better to do it now when it was quiet, but she knew better. She would take over bar duties while we were away on break. I guess she saw that it was dead and didn't think more about it. Anyway, on the first day of the new break rule, the assistant manager really wants the bar cleaned. It was something we did every day anyway, but she wanted it done right now. So that is what we did. We didn't prep for the rush, we didn't do anything but clean the bar. About 2 hours later, the mad rush starts. There are 3 of us behind the bar taking table orders for the waitresses and serving punters that want to sit at the bar. Then it hit. Bang in the middle of our shift, and my partner and I downed tools and left the bar. The new assistant manager was like, "What are you doing? You can't leave now." We said, "This is what you wanted. We tried to tell you, but you didn't want to listen. So it's break time for us right now, just like you said." We smiled, linked arms, and went off to enjoy some food together. When we came back about a half hour later, the place was a shambles. Turns out the new manager had very limited experience working a bar. She didn't know how the coffee machine worked, she didn't know how to pull Guinness, so the place was dead again. Most people just going elsewhere. She was super pissed, calling us all the names under the sun and saying that she was going to get us fired. Really, just an extreme rant complete with finger pointing. That just made us leave again. We both quit on the spot and left her to explain to the manager what had happened. When I went back in later in the week for my final pay and to return the t-shirt uniform, I had to sit down with the manager to give our side of the story. The manager wasn't impressed with any of us, which is fair enough, but I stand by what we did. We did everything to try and explain to the new assistant manager on the day, but she just wouldn't listen. She wanted things done her way and to lord her new power over everyone. I don't think anyone responds well to, "I'm the boss, you do as I say." The girl and I became friends outside of work for a while, but we got other jobs and just kinda drifted apart, as you do. Story number 3. Minimum wage is discretionary. My disclaimer, this story may qualify as pro-revenge, but I feel my hand in it was malicious compliance. My first part-time job was in a cafe starting when I was 16. As jobs go, it was pretty good. It was minimum wage, of course, but the owner was flexible with schedules, we got discounted food, and my coworkers were generally lovely people. The only issue I had occurred when I turned 18. In my country, the UK, minimum wage is set at one level for 16 and 17-year-olds, but then rises by around 30% for 18 plus. We'd always been paid cash in hand weekly, so I knew things were not exactly kosher, but when my first pay envelope after my 18th birthday came, I was still surprised not to see my pay bump. Thinking it was just an oversight, I informed the owner that I hadn't received my pay increase, but they waved their hand and said, "Oh no, minimum wage is discretionary," in a matter-of-fact way. I laughed at this, and they acted like I was naive and said, "Trust me, it is. I can't pay you any more, but you're free to try your luck elsewhere." So that's exactly what I did. My colleague, who had also just turned 18, and I had both found a new place paying more than double our current wage within a few weeks. The only issue was that I was asked to start with only a few days' notice on a weekend I was scheduled to work. I called the owner to let them know I had found a new role and could work my other shifts, but not at the weekend, and they told me my notice period was 2 weeks. I responded, "Oh no, my notice period is discretionary." They didn't like that and told me not to bother coming back. That was the last I had heard of them until a few months later when I received a letter informing me the government was investigating them on my behalf for unpaid wages. It turns out a colleague I had enlightened about minimum wage, of course not being discretionary, had also left and contacted HMRC. A couple of weeks after, I received my check from the owner in the post, and I found out that within a few months, the cafe had to close and let their staff go because of unpaid taxes. All because they didn't want to pay us £4.83 per hour. This is John from /Bash. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video and want to be the first to know when the next one drops, subscribe and click on that notifications bell. We would love for you to drop a like, share it with your friends, and we will see you in the next one.